Hi and welcome to another review from SEAT-CUPRA-NET. This is the Cupra RST, the SEAT LEON CUPRA RST. For those of you still trying to get your head around the brand difference, Cupra is a new brand. This is not a Cupra car, this is a SEAT Cupra LEON. So this is the last car that SEAT are actually going to produce under the Cupra banner. Going forward, all Cupra cars will be Cupra first. So instead of SEAT LEON Cupra, we will get Cupra LEON. Instead of SEAT Cupra Ateca, we will get Cupra Ateca. It's very confusing, but bear with me, we'll get there. So this car marks a number of key milestones. Firstly, as I said, this is the last car that SEAT are going to produce under a Cupra banner. This is the last car SEAT will produce of the Mark III LEON, so this is the last variation we will see of that car with a new next generation LEON, completely new car coming to be shown early next year, 2020. What else? This is also the fastest ever road car SEAT have produced, and the reason being, it's got an official tune from ABT. Well, that's a 500 quid option. You'd be mad not to go for the option. Gives it 350 brake horsepower over the standard 300 brake horsepower. This is the first time this has happened in the UK. Manufacturer approved, warranty approved, tuning. Now we've been wanting this for years, literally decades probably, on the forums. So this is a really key milestone for the fans. Hopefully we'll see more of this. SEAT have said they are considering allowing this to be an option for aftermarket, so people who might want to fit them to their cars after if they isn't available as an option when you buy the car. So things are changing in the SEAT and Cupra world, and all for the better in my opinion. You can debate the badge. I've grown to like the badge, the Cupra badge. Actually, the freedom Cupra now have to produce more cars is great news. It's great news, but it also makes choice difficult, because I think the latest figure I heard is there'll be 9 Cupra models by 2022. And previously you pretty much had 1 or 2 choices. You could get an Ibiza Cupra or you could get a Leon Cupra. That was it. There's a lot of Cupra cars coming. We can already get the Cupra Ateca. We've got the variants of the R model, the 5-door, if you can get hold of one. That was very limited edition. And now the ST Cupra R. But much more coming from Cupra in the future. But we'll cover that obviously nearer the time. So just an introduction. I'm here in this car. I've got it just for the weekend. I'm doing a quick review and I'll give you my thoughts as we go. So the last R car that I drove was the 5-door. Now we're in the ST. And the first thing you notice is the weight difference. This car is a lot heavier. It's a lot heavier for a number of reasons. One, it's an estate, so it's naturally bigger. 2, it's got 4-wheel drive, and the 4-wheel drive helps with handling, obviously, in terms of grip on the road. Cornering feels so much tighter. The grip and the confidence it gives you on the road is really, really good. The downside, of course, to the 4-wheel drive is once you're in motion, you've got that extra weight to contend with that you would have over the 2-door car. Now, I've got a Cupra 300 LEON and driven that fairly recently, as you'd expect, although I've been on holiday. And as I said, the weight difference is the biggest thing that jumps out at me. In terms of power difference, I can feel the difference in power. This is 350 brake horsepower after all. And the launch off the line with the 4-wheel drive is quite hilarious, really. I did notice it in the Cupra Ateca as well, which is obviously 4-wheel drive, and that's a bit of a novelty for me because I'm used to only driving a front-wheel drive car. In terms of general handling, it feels good. It doesn't feel as leery as the 5-door Cupra R. I think they've tweaked the camber on this as they have on the 5-door, but I just cannot feel it compared to what I remember from the 5-door, which I last drove about 6-7 months ago, I think now. It's not a bad thing. It handles really well, and it is an estate, but it's just not going to be. It's not as raw as that 5-door version. The other difference between this and the 5-door is this is an automatic DSG. which I have grown used to, having had one on my last couple of Seats, and I wouldn't want to go back to manual. Whilst, if you've seen my 5-door review, I do say that the manual feels faster. Now I know on paper it's not faster, it's just the difference in being in full control of the gears. I tend not to use the flappy paddles that much when I'm in the DSG, so that rawness of the manual, you just can't really beat that. But a day-to-day car, I would always go for the DSG. And actually Cupra have made that choice for everybody going forward, so unless they've changed their plans, every Cupra model going forward will be DSG only. I don't know how common knowledge that is, but SEAT did announce that, sorry, Cupra did announce that previously. DSG only for Cupra models going forward. Interior wise, the car is very, very comfortable, as you would expect. The bucket seats are very supportive. The guy who delivered the car to me said that he's driven a couple of R8s as part of his job, one of the car delivery drivers. He said the seats in this car are more comfortable than the R8 seats, which I was kind of gobsmacked with, to be honest. So well done, SEAT. I guess the R8 is not meant to be a long-term cruiser. The benefits, as you get with a lot of SEATs and Cupras, is the best of both worlds, and you certainly have that with this car. You've got the practicality of the big boot, plenty of legroom front and back. If you want to take the car steady and just cruise along in comfort mode, you can do so. If you want to go into Cupra mode and put the foot down and have some fun, when the family aren't in the car of course, then you've got that option as well. That's been one of the really good features that I think has been attractive to a lot of buyers of SEAT Cupras, is that kind of wolf in sheep's clothing, that flexibility that you have. It's not a car that's continuously raw and jarring in teeth all the time. You get that choice, and even at the extreme end it doesn't do that kind of fierce, harsh handling that you get with some cars that almost feel like they try a bit too hard. To talk about a couple of little niggly things that bother me about the car. They really aren't showstoppers, this is just me probably being a bit pedantic, but you spend a lot of money on this car. It feels that SEAT have skimped in a couple of places, or a few places. Number one, the Cupra R logo, or the branding on the inside above the gear shift. On the 5-door, they had the individual numbering on there, so you could see exactly which number car you've had. As far as I'm aware, this is also an individually numbered limited edition car, but there's no numbering on this. Whilst there are more coming to the UK, it's still a shame that they've just skimped on that. It's nice to have that little bit extra, just that individual numbering. Secondly, this is probably the most frustrating, is the flared arches from the 5-door. They've been completely dropped on the estate, and I don't see why. Probably needed to make a slightly different shaped version for the rear wheel arches, but again it just feels they've skimped. Those extra touches on the 5-door really flared the arches nicely, looked really good, just made that little bit more difference from the standard Cupra or the carbon editions. But when I saw the first press photos well over a year ago of the Cupra R, and then saw it in the flesh at the Cupra launch, Cupra brand launch, didn't have the arches, and I noticed straight away it just feels like a cost cutting, and it's a bit of a shame. Acceleration on the car is swift. If you want to join the motorway at any speed, I'm actually leaving the motorway here. If you want to join the motorway at any speed, you can be up to the legal limit very, very quickly, certainly before you've left the hard shoulders, deceptively fast. In terms of exhaust sound, I've spent quite a bit of time driving a Cupra with the Res Delete, and that is loud. So anything compared to this feels quite quiet in comparison, but it's certainly quieter than the 5-door Cupra R as standard. I haven't heard any pops or bangs at all from the exhaust, which is a little bit disappointing. From what I understand, due to the nature of the design of the exhaust, it's a little bit harder to do. But I did beg Seat at the Cupra brand launch to just try and make the exhaust sound really good. It does sound good, don't get me wrong, and I'll do the usual external video of the exhaust so you can hear that, and I'll put that up later. Maybe there are some subtle pops and bangs, but I'm certainly not hearing them from the inside of the cabin. In summary then, should you buy one? I'm the wrong person to ask, because I will always say yes, buy Seats, buy Cupras, because they're awesome cars. However, if you're already that way inclined and you're thinking, should I buy this over the Cupra or a kind of different model, then yes, of course, this is the most extreme version. This is the fastest road car Seat I've ever produced. Why wouldn't you want one? Personally, I would still go for the 5-door if I could, based on that extra rawness that it has, the flared arches, but they're so rare you can't get one these days unless you can buy one second hand, as there were only 20 odd coming to the UK. These ones are a lot more available. How many have sold yet, I don't know. I was looking at them because I couldn't, however, I couldn't find a finance deal that kind of was comparable really to what I'm currently paying for my 300. So, and the difference in cost every month for it just wasn't worth it for me. But if you are looking for a fast estate, faster than Porsches, some Porsches anyway, this can't be beaten. Definitely worth investing in.